It's TMNT time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're gonna have a look at the Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Universal Monsters Leonardo as the Hunchback. This one is brand new. I talked about the Universal Monsters, kind of reminiscing of the original toys, but we never had a Hunchback. And Leo just looks amazing. I mean, I love the idea and the own kind of designs that they made for that. This is something special, something new, something unique, and I'm all about it. So let's get them out of the packaging and have a look. This guy is a lot bigger than I expected, especially since, Hunchback, you're not thinking to have the huge size, but it looks like the Universal Monster Lines is supposed to be a bunch of big chunkuses. So anyway, size of the turtle itself goes up to 16, a little over 16 to the head, and we're going almost up to 17 centimeters if you're counting the shell, his big Hunchback, obviously, which means we're like 6'3" up to the head and almost 6'8" up to the shell. Size comparisons. Here's Georgia, the SH Figure Arts Krillin, Neca Michelangelo, Universal Monsters Raph as Frankenstein, Super 7 Leonardo, and Darkseid. Overall look in detail, but before I do, I just want to address this immediately. The legs are really wobbly, especially also the knees and the upper part. It's just like not stable, but also notice that the figure is pretty hollow, and it's not a bad thing, obviously, because he's so big. You're not going to fill this up all the way because it would be impossible to balance him. So as such, even though the legs are wobbly, since he's pretty hollowed out, having him be posed, it's not really the hardest thing in the world. So now move on to the figure, and as I mentioned already, I love even like the pre-production stuff, like the idea to make the Hunchback and to make a design that combines Leonardo and a Hunchback is pretty cool, and they nailed it. Well, I'll get into detail as I move on, but I love the reptilian skin tone on the skin, that is. All the detail in there, molded detail, this is not just painted on. Could have used some shading, and that's another theme with the figure. I feel like there could have been some more shading, but as I look at the face sculpt, you have the dirty teeth and the beard and some eyebrows. Turtle with eyebrows, that's a rare occursion. And you might be wondering, well, you got the line work in the head. That's probably for the opening mouth gimmick, right? Well, that's what I thought, and I tried to force it open, and no, it doesn't have an opening mouth gimmick. So what happened here is, I don't really know, I'm guessing maybe they were trying to make an opening mouth gimmick, but halfway through production they scrapped it and were left with this. I really love the shell though. I want to have a quick look at that because really highlight this one, because there's a bunch of damage on there, and I love the metal parts which look really rusty and used, and as this figure is supposed to be. The lock over here, this is all like soft-ish plastic and has the great metallic look on there, as the rest of the figure does with the rust effect. And moving back to the front. Now, one thing I just want to point out real quick, the belt and the elbow pads are squeaky clean. There's no like damage in there. There's not really any dirt effect applied to it. Well, maybe just a little bit, but yeah, overall I think it stands out weirdly in contrast to the rest of the figure, which is supposed to be this weird, dirty, broken, fixed up, stapled up Hunchback monster thing, right? Back to the shirt, you have the paint job on there, like the small wrinkles, metallic stuff going on, which looks great, and you have some dirt effect, some like a big splat up there, and some smaller ones throughout the figure with the belt going around it, like this belt, the rope belt, and not like the real belt. Which, as I was saying, it looks good, but I feel like it looks too clean. Same for the elbow pads. They look great, but could have used some damage, maybe some shading, maybe some dirt effect. Have these metal bracelets on both sides, and even like there's some more detail under there where it's tucked together. And you got the other one on the other side, the damage, staples, more staples in the hand, and a scar. This one also goes in a different direction, so that they didn't copy paste it on both sides, which they tend to do sometimes. Down to the pants, have some more staples in there. And also like these purple, I don't know, cockroaches, which, I don't want to sound nitpicking. I'm just speaking my mind, I'm just saying how I see it. I don't know why it's purple and why it's metallic. It stands out, and I guess maybe that's what they're going for, but you're trying to make this this dark kind of gritty look, and then you make purple cockroaches. You know, I don't really understand that. And down to the feet with some more metal and a chain on it, which is this a real chain? It's cold, so I think it's plastic, but it's fairly hefty material, so it doesn't seem bendy at all. So maybe it is a real chain, but I think you know, real chain would be at least a little bit cold. So anyway, that's it for look and detail. Let's move on. So for articulation, obviously we have some limitations, but the head goes down quite a bit, but it doesn't really move up. It does go to the side, you have some of that, and obviously rotates without any trouble. For your shoulder articulation, have the big hinge in there so you can bring it up and rotate it on there also all the way around. The elbow pad obviously blocks the double elbow, but it still gets some good range of it. And then you have the simple hinge in the hand, goes up and down, and you can swivel it. And then for the rest of the, well, torso articulation, yeah, obviously there's nothing going on over here. And since he's so thick, I don't know how you would have done it, unless you might have like a soft plastic shirt and have some engineering on there, but they didn't do that, so that's a little bit unfortunate. You can move the hips around though, you have some wiggle motion in there. For the legs, they're also pretty limited because like the pants are soft-ish, as you can tell, but it's still kind of blocking it. I guess because of like the front part. All of this is soft plastic, as I mentioned, but you're getting a lot of pushback because this is fairly thick plastic. Also, you got like part of the shell under there. So the legs generally don't really move up as much more than this, unless you heat up the plastic. But if you stretch the plastic too much, it's gonna look ugly over time. So it does move out to the side, doesn't really move to the back that much because of the shell. Also, you can rotate it on the ball. For the knees, also it doesn't really go up that much because again of the big knee pads. You have a swivel on the lower half, the foot is on another hinge. Let me see that. It does move back, not really forward that much as far as I can tell, and do have a pivot, which does work nicely and gets a good amount of range. For your accessories, of course, you're gonna get two swords because it's Leonardo. They all have the same dirt effect, and there's some small scratches in it. Looks like battle damage, which is of course on purpose, and you have the same dirt effect on the handles. And as you can tell, I have a quality control just mishap because there's a spiky bone on this one, and there's a weird looking shape that looks like there's something you would attach to it, but they forgot. So yay! I'm always getting the faulty copies. You're welcome, guys. Then you have the brain in there in a kind of like a glass case with all kinds of detail and doohickey, gimmicky stuff around it. Has the same dirt effect. It looks really rugged. I love like that. It looks like it's old metal, and like there's tons of dents in it. And yeah, overall great looking piece. We have the same thing going on for like a shovel and like a spade, or whatever you call this. Same, like super dirty. And that's kind of what I really would have liked from the figure mold. Like, look at this. Look at how dirty, and just like, this looks like it has been used for ages. There's like cracks in it and whatnot. Amazing, good looking stuff. And we have a bone. I have a bone to pick with you. Fairly simple, but still, dirt effect. Have a skull. Alas, poor Yorick. I hardly knew you. It's is that Shakespeare? I think it's Shakespeare. I'm pretending to know. It's just a very small skull, not a turtle skull. Two flames, which really kind of, I don't know. It looks basic. They're just orange. There's like not any layers to it, and they have some hole in there because I think they would go onto the swords, right? It's a tight fit, but yes, it works. That's pretty cool. Use that as torches, the flame swords. Yeah, looks like a power-up in a video game. Sounds like a power-up in a video game. And then you got hands. You got two fist hands, you got two pointy fingers, which are still open. Maybe you can move something in there a little bit. And then obviously you got the holding hands for your swords, your shovels, and whatnot. And that's about it. But what do you do with all these accessories? Actually, because the shell, I talked about how it's hollowed out because you can store everything in there. I totally knew that. No. Yeah, I kind of slept on that, but it's at the back of the box. Also, you have some pegs over here, so you can put that on there. Put the brain, glass brain, glass container, brain container. Tuck that on there. Also, you got the place for the skull up there because there's a little hole on the lower end. And finally, also there's a little bit of a slide, a little bit of an area down there. I think this is just supposed to go in there. Well, there's some parts, there's some little areas where I think it's supposed to go in, but you know, doing it on camera, I don't see it as well. So here you go. That's how it's supposed to look like. And I feel like one of the coolest parts is actually the swords. That's why we have holes in the shell. It's like this, yo. And back out on the other side. And there you go. You can put everything on there except for the flames, I guess. Final thoughts. I like this figure, but it has flaws. But generally speaking, from my experience, I'm thinking it's a little bit lackluster compared to their previous release. And that's not saying this is bad per se. However, I feel like the Frankenstein Wrath Monster was just so amazing. I was gushing over it, how close to a masterpiece that one was. So this one seems a little bit plain in comparison. And again, it doesn't take away from the figure itself. It still looks great, but it could be more. There just could be some here and there. So I don't want to get too much into that and drag this figure down. Also, by the way, you can open the brain case and take the brain out if you want to. Also, it doesn't really hold it all too well, just kind of gotta tuck it in there, which is annoying. Also, the wobbly legs and the quality control issue on the sword. Yes, I'm gonna mark that up, even though, you know, not everybody's gonna have that. I'm just like the unlucky bastard who always gets these kind of things. Still, I do recommend this figure. I think it still looks fantastic. I love the idea, and design overall is good, even though their previous release was way better. So let's see how the Universal Monster lineup is going to continue on. I'm still excited. There's still a lot of cool looking figures coming out, and I will be getting all of it. Stay tuned for that. That's going to do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever Leonardo as the Hunchback wants.